Hello students, welcome to Choudhuri Academy. In this video, we are going to learn about respiration in organisms from chapter 10 for class 7. I am sure, after watching this animated tutorial, all your doubts will be clear. You will be able to answer all the possible questions asked from this chapter and of course, without reading dozens of books. Let's start the class.
What is that one activity that all living organisms indulge in unconsciously and is necessary for their survival? Yes, respiration. All living organisms, whether they are plants, animals, or human beings, respire. While human beings respire through their lungs, plants do so through tiny holes in their leaves. Different animals have different organs that facilitate respiration. Fish breathe through their gills, frogs and earthworms through their skin, insects through their spiracles. In this lesson, we will study in detail the mechanism of respiration in human beings. Human beings, animal, and plants depend on oxygen to survive. While some animals resemble human beings in their techniques of respiration, some others have completely different respiratory mechanisms. Plants also have a unique way of breathing. In this lesson, we will study respiration in plants and animals in detail. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to differentiate between aerobic and anaerobic respiration, define pulmonary respiration, define circular respiration, describe the mechanism of breathing in humans, how gases are exchanged in insects, explain how earthworms breathe, describe the different ways in which frogs respire, explain how fish breathe in water, explain the breathing process in plants. Let us look at what is breathing. When a human being breathes, he exchanges the unwanted carbon dioxide with oxygen, which is essential for survival. Breathing involves two steps: inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation refers to the taking in of oxygen from the air into the body. Exhalation refers to the expulsion of carbon dioxide from the body into the atmosphere. During inhalation, the chest rises as the lungs are filled with oxygen, whereas during exhalation, the chest falls as the carbon dioxide is emptied from the lungs. Such visible breathing is known as external or pulmonary respiration. We will now look at internal or cellular respiration. In this process, cells present inside human body exchange unwanted carbon dioxide with the essential oxygen through cell walls. Our body needs energy to perform various activities. The energy is produced when the food we eat is broken down into glucose. Breakdown of food requires oxygen obtained through inhalation. Thus, cellular respiration is the process by which cells make use of the energy obtained from food. Respiration is of two types: aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic respiration is the respiration that takes place in the presence of oxygen. In this kind of respiration, food is broken down into glucose in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration is that respiration which takes place in the absence of oxygen. This kind of respiration is found in some microorganisms, such as bacteria, that inhabit places where oxygen is missing. The energy produced in aerobic respiration is more than the energy produced in anaerobic respiration. Shruti wants to hold her breath, but she can hold only about 30 seconds. After that, she has to breathe. This is because the body needs oxygen to breathe all the time. Taking in of air rich in oxygen into the body is called inhalation, and the giving out of air rich in carbon dioxide is called exhalation. Shruti now counts her number of breaths in 1 minute. She noted that she breathes in and out 15 to 18 times per minute. However, during exercising, it can go up to 30 breaths per minute. Let us now understand how breathing occurs in human beings. First, we inhale air through our nostrils. This inhaled air passes into the nasal cavity. Here, the air is filtered and heated. From the nasal cavity, the inhaled air passes down the throat and enters the windpipe known as trachea. From the trachea, it reaches both our lungs, which are present in the chest cavity. This cavity is surrounded by ribs on both sides. These ribs form a cage-like structure called the rib cage. A large muscular sheet called the diaphragm forms the floor of the chest cavity. The rib cage and the diaphragm show movements during inhalation and exhalation. Once the inhaled air reaches the lungs, it enters tiny air sacs known as alveoli inside the lungs. Here in the alveoli, gas exchange takes place, that is, oxygen is exchanged for carbon dioxide. The oxygen in the alveoli travels into the bloodstream and is used up in cellular respiration. The carbon dioxide in the blood moves into the alveoli and is expelled out of the human body through exhalation. When we breathe in or inhale, ribs move up outwards and our diaphragm contracts and moves downward. This increases the space in our chest cavity into which our lungs expand. As our lungs expand, air is sucked in through our nose or mouth. The air travels down trachea into our lungs. When we breathe out or exhale, our ribs move down inwards and our diaphragm relaxes and moves upward into the chest cavity. As the space in the chest cavity gets smaller, air rich in carbon dioxide is forced out of our lungs and windpipe and then out of our nose or mouth. Like human beings, insects need oxygen for survival as well. Again, like human beings, they produce carbon dioxide as a waste product. But unlike human beings, insects like grasshopper, housefly, cockroaches, etc. do not have lungs. The process by which gas exchange takes place in insects is known as diffusion. Air enters the insect body through tiny holes present on the sides of the body. These holes are known as spiracles. The spiracles open into a network of thin air tubes spread over the body of an insect. These tubes are known as the trachea and they facilitate gas exchange. Oxygen reaches the cells through the tracheal system and the carbon dioxide is received from the cells by the tracheal system and expelled from the insect body through spiracles. Earthworms, like insects, do not have lungs, nor do they have a nose. They breathe through their skin. They absorb oxygen from air and soil. When the oxygen comes in contact with their moist skin, it breaks down. It is absorbed through tiny blood vessels and circulated throughout the body. The same blood vessels carry the carbon dioxide to be expelled through the skin. For an effective absorption of oxygen, earthworms keep their skin moist. Frogs, like human beings, have lungs. They use their lungs for breathing. But since their lungs are not well developed, they use two other types of respiration. One is buccal respiration and the other is cutaneous respiration. In buccal respiration, oxygen is absorbed and the blood vessels that line the roof of their mouth expel carbon dioxide. During this process, the passage to the lungs remains closed. In cutaneous respiration, oxygen is absorbed by the network of blood vessels on their skin. This respiration is effective only if their skin is moist. This technique of respiration is used by frogs on both land and water. Since fish is an aquatic animal, its respiratory system is different from the respiratory system of animals living on land. Fish has gills that allow it to breathe in water, so the fish is under no compulsion to come to the surface of the water for air. They take in oxygen-rich water through their mouth and pass it over the gills. The gills are lined with blood vessels which absorb the oxygen and release carbon dioxide into the water. The deoxygenated water is then expelled from the body through gills. In plants, respiration takes two different forms. One, when the pores of the plant absorb oxygen and release carbon dioxide. These pores are present all over the plant body and even in the roots. 2. When photosynthesis takes place. In this form of respiration, plants absorb carbon dioxide and release oxygen. Let us summarize what we have learned. Inhalation refers to the taking in of oxygen from the air into the body. Exhalation refers to the expulsion of carbon dioxide from the body into the atmosphere. Cellular respiration takes place when cells exchange carbon dioxide with oxygen through cell walls. Aerobic respiration takes place in the presence of oxygen. Anaerobic respiration takes place in the absence of oxygen. The windpipe is known as the trachea. A large muscular sheet called diaphragm forms the floor of the chest cavity. Alveoli are tiny air sacs inside human lungs. Oxygen is exchanged for carbon dioxide in the alveoli. In insects, air enters in their body through tiny holes called spiracles present on the sides of their body. Earthworm exchanges gas through its skin. Frogs have a pair of lungs like human beings for breathing. Their skin is moist and slippery. They can also breathe through their skin. They also breathe through their mouth. Fish have special organs for respiration called gills. Plant respiration takes two different forms. In one form, oxygen is absorbed and carbon dioxide is released. In the other form, carbon dioxide is absorbed and oxygen is released.
Thanks for watching. Hope all of you enjoyed it. Keep watching and keep learning. If you have any doubt, feel free to ask in comment section. Subscribe the channel Choudhury Academy. Also press the bell icon to get notified when we upload a new video. Share with your friends and family.